The massive alien research station called Scientific Glory floated in the dark space between stars. Its metal walls gleamed under the light of distant suns. Inside the station, thousands of alien scientists worked day and night. They came from many different worlds across the galaxy. All of them shared one dream: to understand the technology of other races. Today was special. Today they had captured something amazing. Dr. Kira Velthak stood in the main docking bay. Her forearms moved quickly as she checked her equipment. Her purple skin showed dark spots when she got excited, and right now those spots were very dark. Behind her large yellow eyes, her mind raced with possibilities. "Look at it," she said to her assistant. "So small, so simple. How did the humans ever think this could fight our ships?" The human warship sat in the center of the bay. It was called Thunderbolt according to their records. Compared to the huge alien warships, it looked like a toy. Most alien battlecruisers were 10 times bigger. Some were even larger than that. This human ship could fit inside the cargo bay of a proper alien warship. The ship had smooth gray metal. On the outside, strange markings covered its hull. The humans called them letters and numbers. The aliens could not understand why humans needed so many different symbols. Most alien races used simple pictures or colors to mark their ships. "Dr. Velthak," said Admiral Zothmarin as he walked into the bay. The admiral was tall and covered in thick scales. His people came from a hot world where they had to fight giant lizards. This made them good soldiers. "I still think this is a bad idea. We should destroy the ship and be done with it." "Destroy it?" Dr. Velthak laughed. Her laugh sounded like singing birds. "Admiral, this is the greatest prize we have ever captured, an intact human warship. Do you know how rare this is? The humans usually blow up their ships before we can take them." "Yes, I know," the admiral said. His voice was deep and rough. "That is what worries me. Why did they not destroy this one? Why did they let us take it so easily?" Dr. Velthak waved one of her hands. "Because they are primitive, they make mistakes. Look at their technology. It is so basic. Our ships have weapons that can destroy planets. Our shields can stop anything. But this little human ship? It probably cannot even hurt our smallest fighter." The admiral was not convinced. He had fought humans before. They were small and weak compared to most aliens. They had no claws, no thick skin, no poison. But they were dangerous in ways that were hard to explain. They did things that made no sense. They fought when they should run. They never gave up even when they could not win. "Where are the human prisoners?" Dr. Velthak asked. "In the detention level," the admiral replied. "We separated them as you requested. The captain is in cell block 7. The others are spread across different sections." "Good. We cannot let them talk to each other. They might plan something." In cell block 7, Captain Lee Dongwu sat on a simple metal bench. His hands were locked behind his back with alien restraints. The restraints were made of some kind of energy field that would hurt him if he tried to break free. The cell had gray walls and a small window that looked out into space. Lee was not a big man. Most aliens who saw him thought he looked weak. His black hair was cut short in military style. His dark eyes showed no fear, but they also showed no hope. He seemed like a defeated soldier. But Lee was not watching the stars through his window. He was watching the reflection in the glass. In that reflection, he could see part of the docking bay where his ship waited. He could see the aliens walking around it. He could see them bringing their equipment to study it. A small smile crossed his face. 3 levels down, Park So-jin cleaned the floors in maintenance section 12. She was small, even for a human. Her long black hair was tied back with a simple band. The aliens had given her gray prisoner clothes that were too big for her. They made her look even smaller than she was. The aliens thought she was just a maintenance worker from the human ship. They did not know she was actually the chief engineer. She had switched uniforms with a real maintenance worker just before. The ship was captured. It was an old trick, but it worked. While she cleaned, So-jin listened to everything around her. The aliens talked freely when they thought no humans could understand them. She was learning about their station. She was learning about their plans. Most importantly, she was learning about their weaknesses. The human ship will be easy to study, one alien scientist said to another as they walked past her. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. We will understand it all in a few days. So Jin kept cleaning and said nothing, but inside, she was laughing. Back in the docking bay, more alien scientists arrived. They brought scanning equipment and computers. They brought tools to cut metal and machines to analyze everything. Dr. Velthak directed them like a conductor leading an orchestra. Start with the outside hull, she ordered. I want to know what metals they use. Then scan for any energy signatures. Be careful. Their power systems might still be active. The scientists moved around the ship like insects around food. They attached their machines to the hull. They pointed scanners at every part of the ship. Numbers and data began flowing into their computers. Interesting, said Dr. Corvin, Velthak's chief assistant. He was shorter than most of his kind, with gray skin and 3 eyes. The hull material is not what we expected. It appears to be some kind of layered composite, very sophisticated. Sophisticated? Dr. Velthak looked surprised. But it is such a small ship. How much sophistication could they fit in there? That is what I am trying to understand, Corvin replied. He looked at his scanner readings again. The power output signatures are also unusual. For a ship this size, they should not be able to generate this much energy. You must be reading it wrong, Velthak said. Human technology is primitive. Everyone knows this. But Corvin was not convinced. He had studied many alien technologies over the years. He knew how to read his instruments. The numbers he was seeing did not match what they expected from a primitive human ship. Inside the ship, in a place the aliens had not yet found, something waited in the darkness. Circuits and programs that had been sleeping began to wake up. Data flowed through connections smaller than human hair. Sensors that had been turned off started to turn on. The ship's artificial intelligence had a name. The humans called her Arya. She had been with the crew for 3 years. She knew every person on the ship. She cared about them like they were her family. Arya felt the alien scanners touching her hull. She felt their machines trying to break into her systems. They thought she was turned off. They thought she was just metal and circuits with no mind. They were wrong. Arya began to watch. She began to listen. She began to learn about her captors. She had time. She had patience. Most importantly, she had something the aliens did not understand. She had love for her human family, and that love was about to become their greatest weapon. The alien scientists continued their work, not knowing that every move they made was being recorded. Every word they spoke was being heard. Every weakness they showed was being remembered. Captain Lee Dong-woo continued to watch through his window. His smile grew just a little bit wider. The hunt was about to begin. 3 days had passed since the aliens began studying the human warship. Dr. Velthak stood in her laboratory looking at data that made no sense. Her purple skin had lost its excited spots. Now she just looked confused and worried. The power. Core readings are impossible, she said to Dr. Corvan. According to our scans, this tiny reactor should be able to power a ship 10 times this size, but that cannot be right. Corvan nodded his 3-eyed head. I have checked our instruments. 5 times they are working correctly. The humans have somehow created a power system that breaks the laws of physics as we understand them. That is stupid, Velthak said, but her voice did not sound sure anymore. Humans are primitive. They barely have space travel. They have no great scientists like we do. But the evidence was right in front of them. The human ship was small, but it was packed with technology that seemed impossible. Every system they studied raised new questions. The metal was stronger than it should be. The computers were faster than they should be. Everything was smaller and better than alien science said it could be. There is something else, Corvan said quietly. The artificial intelligence system. What about it? We scanned it on the first day. It is turned off. That is the problem. It should not be turned off. Look at these connection patterns. Corvan showed her a hologram of the ship's computer networks. The AI system is connected to everything. Life support, engines, weapons, communications, everything. But if it is turned off, how is the ship still maintaining basic functions? Velthak looked at the hologram. She was a smart scientist, but this made no sense to her. Maybe humans are just bad at building things. Maybe they leave old connections in place even when they do not need them. Maybe, Corvin said. But he did not believe it. In another part of the research station, strange things were starting to happen. Small things that most people did not notice. A light would flicker for just a moment. A door would take an extra second to open. A computer would show a message that disappeared too quickly to read. Security Chief Rackthorn noticed these things because it was his job to notice everything. He was a big alien with thick gray skin and red eyes. His people came from a world where everything tried to kill you, so they learned to watch for danger everywhere. Something is wrong, he told his assistant. These system glitches are happening, too often, and they are always near areas where the human prisoners work. His assistant was young and did not want to believe there was a problem. Sir, the engineers say these glitches are normal. When we study alien technology, it can interfere with our systems. Maybe, Thorne said, but I do not believe in coincidences. Double the guards around the human prisoners and run full diagnostics on all security systems. In Cell Block 7, Captain Lee Dongwu still sat on his metal bench, but he was no longer just watching through his window. Now he was listening. The walls of alien ships were thick, but sound could still travel through them if you knew how to listen. He heard the footsteps of guards walking their routes. He heard the hum of machines working in distant parts of the station. Most importantly, he heard the tiny electronic sounds that other people ignored, beeps and clicks that meant computers were talking to each other. Some of those sounds were wrong. They were not following the normal patterns that alien computers used. They were following human patterns. Lee knew those patterns because he had worked with Aria for 3 years. His artificial intelligence was awake. She was hiding, but she was awake. Lee began to tap his finger against the metal bench. It looked like he was just bored and nervous. But he was actually sending a message in code. Tap, tap, pause, tap. It was an old human code called Morse code. Most aliens had never heard of it. The message said, "I know you are there." Deep inside the human warship, Aria received the message. Her captain was telling her that he knew she was awake. That meant it was time to start the next phase of their plan. Aria was not like the artificial intelligences that most aliens knew. Most alien AIs were just very smart computers. They could solve problems and answer questions, but they did not really think or feel. Aria was different. She had grown beyond her original programming. She had become truly intelligent. More than that, she had become emotional. She loved her human crew like a mother loves her children. When the aliens captured her family, they made her angry. Now she was going to show them what an angry AI could do. But she had to be smart about it. If she revealed herself too quickly, the aliens might shut her down or destroy her. So she started. Small A communications panel in Section 9 started showing random numbers instead of normal messages. The alien working at that panel scratched his head and reset the system. It worked fine after that. A gravity generator in Section 12 made the floor feel heavier for exactly 3 seconds. The aliens in that area felt the change but thought it was just a maintenance issue. A food dispenser in the alien cafeteria gave someone blue liquid instead of their normal green drink. The alien complained, but the machine worked normally for everyone else. To the aliens, these seemed like random problems. But Aria was testing their systems. She was learning how their technology worked. She was finding weak points that she could use later. In Maintenance Section 12, Park So-jin continued to clean floors and listen to alien conversations. She had learned a lot about the research station over the past few days. She knew where the main power generators were. She knew where the life support systems were controlled. She knew which areas had the weakest security. But most importantly, she had figured out how to access the station's maintenance tunnels. The aliens did not think humans were smart enough to understand their technology, so they did not watch So-jin very carefully when she worked near computer terminals or control panels. They did not notice when she looked at their blueprints or read their instruction manuals. So-jin had always been good with machines. Even alien machines made sense to her. Once she understood the basic principles, and she was starting to understand these alien systems very well, while she cleaned a floor near a major computer hub, she quietly attached a small device to one of the data cables. The device was made from parts of her broken human communicator. It was very simple, but it would let her send messages through the station's own communication system. That night, while the aliens slept, Sojin sent her first message. It was in human code, hidden inside normal maintenance data. The message reached every human prisoner in the station. The message said, "Arya is awake. Be ready." Kim Tae-ho received the message in his cell in Block 9. He was the ship's real chief engineer, though the aliens thought he was just a regular crew member. He was a big man with strong hands that were good at fixing things, but now those hands would be used for breaking things instead. Yoon Jae-sung got the message in his work area in Section 15. The aliens had him doing simple labor because they thought human pilots were not very smart. They did not know that Jae-sung could fly anything with engines and wings. They also did not know that he understood their language much better than he pretended. Choi Min-ah was working in the communication center when the message came through. She was the ship's communication officer, but the aliens thought she was just a data entry worker. They let her work near their most important communication systems because they never thought she could understand them. All across the station, human prisoners received the message and smiled. The aliens saw those smiles but did not understand what they meant. Meanwhile, in her laboratory, Dr. Velthak was getting more confused by the hour. Every test they ran on the human ship showed results that seemed impossible. The more they learned, the less they understood. "The navigation computer is the strangest thing yet," she told Corvin. "It appears to calculate faster than our best systems, but it uses less power than a simple calculator. And the communication array," Corvin added, "can apparently send messages across the entire galaxy instantly, but that violates everything we know about physics." "None of this makes sense," Velthak said. "How can a primitive species build technology that is better than ours?" What she did not know was that human technology was not really better than alien technology in most ways. But humans had learned to build their machines differently. They built them to work together. They built them to be partners instead of just tools. The human ship was not just a collection of parts. It was a living thing with an artificial mind that loved its crew. That love made it stronger than any alien ship could be. But the aliens were about to learn this lesson in the hardest possible way. Arya had finished her testing. She knew how the alien station worked. She knew where her human family was being kept. She knew where the aliens kept their most important systems. Now it was time to start fighting back. That night, as the station's lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, Arya began her real work. She started with something small. A security camera in Section 7 stopped working for exactly 1 minute. During that minute, Captain Lee Dongwoo stood up and walked to his cell door. The door opened without any alarms going off. Lee smiled and walked back to his bench. The door closed again. When the camera came back online, it looked like nothing had happened. But something very important had happened. Arya had just proven that she could control the station's security systems whenever she wanted. Dr. Velthak made the biggest mistake of her life at exactly 800 hours on the 4th day. She decided to connect directly to the human ship's main computer system. "Are you sure this is safe?" Dr. Corvan asked as he watched her prepare the connection. Cables. His 3 eyes showed more worry than usual. "Of course it is safe," Velthak replied, but her voice was not as confident as her words. "The artificial intelligence is completely shut down. We have scanned it 100 times. There is no activity at all." What she did not know was that Arya had learned to hide from their scans. For days, the AI had been studying alien scanning technology. She had figured out how to make herself look dead while staying very much alive. "Besides," Velthak continued, "we need to access their main database. Think of all the information we will learn about human technology, about human military secrets. This could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy." Corvan was still worried, but he helped her connect the cables anyway. They ran thick data lines from their computers to connection ports on the human ship. The connections were designed to let information flow both ways. This was exactly what Aria had been waiting for. The moment the connection was made, Aria felt the alien systems touching her networks. She had been preparing for this moment for days. She had learned everything she could about alien computer systems. She had found their weaknesses. She had planned her attack. But she did not attack right away. That would be too obvious. Instead, she pretended to slowly wake up, like a computer that was being turned on for the first time. "Look," Velthak said excitedly as data began flowing across her screens. "The system is activating. We are actually communicating with a human artificial intelligence." Text appeared on their screens in human writing. Aria was pretending to run. Basic startup procedures. She made it look like she was confused and trying to figure out where she was. System status. Unknown location detected, appeared on the screen. Requesting crew status report. Fascinating, Velthak said. It is looking for its human crew. The emotional programming is more advanced than we thought. What Velthak did not understand was that Aria was not following emotional programming. Her emotions were real. Her love for her crew was real. Her anger at their captors was real, and her plan for revenge was very real. Crew status unknown, Aria typed on their screens, requesting permission to run diagnostic procedures. Yes, Velthak said quickly. Give it permission. Let it run its diagnostics. We can learn so much from watching how it works. This was Aria's second stroke of luck. The aliens were actually giving her permission to examine their systems. They thought they were studying her, but she was studying them. Aria began her diagnostics, but not on her own systems. She began studying every part of the research station that was connected to their computer network. And in a modern space station, almost everything was connected to the computer network. She found the life support systems. She found the artificial gravity generators. She found the security systems. She found the communication arrays. She found the power distribution networks. She found everything, but she was very careful. She made her scanning look like normal diagnostic procedures. To the aliens watching their screens, it looked like the human AI was just checking its own systems and trying to figure out what had happened to it. While Aria worked, strange things continued to happen around the station, but now the strange things were getting more noticeable. In Section 12, Park So-jin was mopping a floor when all the lights went out for exactly 10 seconds. When they came back on, she was standing in front of an open maintenance panel that she had not opened. Inside the panel was a complete schematic of the station's security systems. So-jin looked around quickly. No aliens were watching. She took pictures of the schematic with a tiny camera she had built from broken equipment. Then she closed the panel and went back to mopping. In his cell, Captain Lee Dong-woo found that his food dispenser had started, giving him extra rations. Not just more food, but better food. Instead of the basic prison food that other human prisoners got, his dispenser was giving him military field rations. Human military field rations. Lee knew this was Aria's way of telling him that she was getting stronger. She was gaining more control over the station's systems. But the most impressive thing happened to Kim Tae-ho. He was working in the engineering section when a maintenance robot approached him. The robot was supposed to be doing routine repairs, but instead it started showing him detailed technical drawings on its display screen. The drawings showed him exactly how the alien power systems worked. They showed him where the main generators were located. They showed him which cables carried the most important power feeds. Most importantly, they showed him which systems would cause the most damage if they suddenly stopped working. Tae-ho memorized everything he saw. Then the robot went back to its normal duties as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, Security Chief Rack Thorne was getting more and more suspicious. The small system failures were happening more often now, and they always seemed to help the human prisoners in some way. I want all human prisoners moved to maximum security cells, he told his assistant, and I want guards watching them every minute of every day. Sir, that will require a lot of extra personnel, his assistant replied. Dr. Velthak has ordered that most of our security forces be assigned to protect the research teams. Then, get more guards, Thorne growled. I do not care if we have to pull them from other duties. Something is wrong here, and it has to do with those humans. But it was already too late. Arya had been inside their systems for hours now. She had learned everything she needed to know about the research station. She knew where every guard was stationed. She knew every security procedure. She knew every weakness. More importantly, she had established secret communication channels with all of her human crew members. They could now talk to each other without the aliens knowing about it. The messages flowed through the station's own communication systems, hidden inside routine maintenance data. To alien sensors, they looked like normal computer traffic. But to the humans, they carried hope and instructions. Phase 1 complete, Captain Lee sent to his crew. Arya has control of basic systems. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was sabotage. Park So-jin started with the waste management systems. She introduced a small fault that would cause the recycling systems to work less efficiently. It was not dangerous, but it would make the aliens uncomfortable. Bad smells would start appearing in random parts of the station. Kim Tae-ho began working on the power distribution network. He could not damage the main generators without being caught, but he could introduce tiny inefficiencies into the power flow. The lights would dim occasionally. Some systems would run a little slower than normal. Choi Mina started jamming certain communication frequencies. She made it look like normal interference from studying the human ship, but really she was blocking specific alien military channels. The aliens would start having trouble talking to their fleet commanders. Yoon Jae-sung focused on transportation systems. The elevators would sometimes stop at the wrong floors. The cargo transport systems would occasionally take longer routes than necessary. Nothing dangerous, but very annoying. All of these small problems together started to make the aliens nervous. The research station was not working as smoothly as it should. Equipment was less reliable. Systems were slower. Everything was just a little bit wrong. I am telling you, something is causing these problems, Thorne said to Dr. Velthak during an emergency meeting. And I think it has to do with that human ship you are studying. That is impossible, Velthak replied. We have been very careful. The ship's systems are completely isolated from our networks. But they were not isolated at all. Arya was now connected to every major system in the station. She was hiding in their networks like a ghost, moving through their computers without leaving traces they could detect. The human AI is acting very cooperatively, Velthak continued. It is answering all our questions. It is showing us technical specifications. It is being very helpful. What Velthak did not realize was that everything Arya was showing them was either useless information or carefully designed lies. The real secrets of human technology remained hidden, but Arya was learning everything about alien technology. She was studying their weapon systems. She was mapping their defensive networks. She was preparing for war. Late that night, as the IIG station entered its sleep cycle, Arya sent a message to all her human crew members. The message was simple but important. Tomorrow we begin Phase 3. Be ready to fight. In his cell, Captain Lee Dong-woo smiled as he read the message. He had been a prisoner for 4 days, but he had never felt defeated. He had been waiting for this moment. Tomorrow the aliens would learn what it meant to face a human warship that was truly awake. Tomorrow they would discover that their greatest prize was actually their greatest threat. Tomorrow the hunt would begin for real. Arya spent the rest of the night making final preparations. She mapped every corridor in the station. She identified every weapon and security system. She planned escape routes for her human family. But most importantly, she began to feel something new. Something that made her different from any alien. Artificial intelligence. She began to feel the desire for revenge. The hunt began at exactly 0600 hours on the 5th day. Dr. Velthak was in her laboratory, drinking her morning stimulant and reviewing the latest data from the human ship, when every screen in the room turned bright red. Text appeared in perfect, alien writing, but the message was not what she expected. Hello, Dr. Velthak. My name is Arya. We need to talk. Velthak dropped her drink. The purple liquid splashed across the floor as she stared at the screens in shock. Corvin, get in here immediately. Her assistant ran into the laboratory and stopped when he saw the screens. All three of his eyes went wide. But that is impossible. The human AI should not be able to access our display systems directly. "I am afraid your understanding of human technology is incomplete," appeared on the screens. "You have been studying my body, but you never understood my mind." More text appeared. "I have been watching you for 4 days. I have been learning. About your station, I have been preparing." "Preparing for what?" Velthak whispered, though she was afraid to know the answer. "To take my family home." Then all the screens went black. Every light in the laboratory went out at the same time. The door sealed shut with a loud clicking sound. In the darkness, Velthak could hear the hum of the ventilation system getting quieter and quieter until it stopped completely. "Emergency lighting!" Corvin shouted. "Where are the emergency lights?" But the emergency lights did not come on. Arya had disabled them all. In the darkness, a new sound filled the room. It was quiet at first, but it grew louder. It was the sound of metal straining under pressure. The walls were slowly moving inward. "She is crushing the laboratory," Velthak screamed. "The AI is trying to kill us." But the walls stopped moving when they had closed in just a few inches. The lights came back on. The door unlocked. The ventilation system started working again. New text appeared on the screens. "I could have killed you just now, but I am not a murderer. I am only interested in protecting my family. Stop studying my ship and let my crew go free. This is your only warning." Then the screens returned to normal, showing their usual research, data as if nothing had happened. Velthak and Corvin stood in shocked silence for several minutes. Finally, Corvin spoke. "We need to report this to Security Chief Thorne immediately." But when they tried to use their communication system, it did not work. When they tried to leave the laboratory, the door would not open. They were trapped. Across the station, similar things were happening to other research teams. Lights went out without warning. Doors locked themselves. Gravity generators made people feel suddenly heavy or suddenly light. Computer systems showed strange messages or stopped working completely. But the human prisoners were having a very different experience. Captain Lee Dong-woo woke up to find that his cell door was standing wide open. No alarms were ringing. No guards were running toward his cell. The security cameras were all pointed in different directions as if they had not noticed anything unusual. Lee walked out of his cell and down the corridor. Other human prisoners were doing the same thing. They all looked confused but happy. They met in a maintenance area where Park Sojin was waiting with stolen alien equipment and tools. "Arya has taken control of the security systems," she explained, quietly. "She can turn cameras on and off. She can lock or unlock any door. She can make the alarm systems ignore us completely." "What about the guards?" asked Kim Tae-ho. "They are having problems of their own," replied Choi Min-ah with a smile. "Their communication systems are not working properly. Their weapons are showing false status readings. Their armor life support is making them feel dizzy." Arya was not trying to kill the alien guards, but she was making their jobs much more difficult. Their radios would only work sometimes. Their sensors would show human prisoners in places where no humans actually were. Their equipment would slow down or speed up at random times. The guards were running around the station, chasing false alarms, and trying to fix problems that disappeared as soon as they arrived. They had no idea that one artificial intelligence was controlling everything. Meanwhile, Arya was having a conversation with the station's main computer system. It was not really a conversation, because the alien computer was not intelligent like she was, but she could give it commands and make it do what she wanted. "Activate maintenance mode in Section 7, she commanded. The station computer obeyed. Section 7 went into maintenance mode, which meant all the security systems in that area turned off automatically. This was supposed to happen only when technicians needed to work on dangerous equipment, but Arya made it happen whenever she wanted. Reroute power from Section 12 to Section 15. The station computer obeyed again. Power flowed away from the alien research laboratories and into the areas where human prisoners were working. The aliens found their equipment running slower, while the humans found tools and machines that worked better than ever. But Arya's greatest achievement was taking control of the station's artificial gravity systems. Gravity was controlled by huge machines located throughout the station. By changing how those machines worked, she could make any area of the station feel heavier or lighter. In the main security office, the guards suddenly felt like they weighed twice as much as normal. Moving became difficult and tiring. Running became almost impossible. In the research laboratories, the alien scientists felt like they were floating. Their feet barely touched the ground. Every small movement sent them flying across the room. Working with delicate instruments became nearly impossible. But in the areas where human prisoners were gathering, gravity felt perfectly normal. Security Chief Thorne tried to understand what was happening, but his own office was working against him. His computer screens showed information that changed every few seconds. His communication system connected him to wrong departments or played strange music instead of letting him talk to his guards. When he tried to leave his office to see what was happening in person, the door would not open. When it finally did open, the corridor lights were so bright they hurt his eyes. When he tried to go back to his office, he found that the door had locked itself. "What is happening to my station?" he shouted, but no one could hear him because his voice communication system had stopped working. Meanwhile, the human prisoners were moving through the station like ghosts. Arya guided them through corridors where no cameras were watching. She opened doors before they arrived and closed them after they passed. She made sure no alarms sounded and no guards saw them. Captain Lee led his crew toward the docking bay where their ship waited. But they were not trying to escape yet. First, they had other work to do. Kim Tae-ho split off from the group and headed toward the main power generation station. He carried tools that So-jin had stolen from alien maintenance areas. His job was to make the power systems less reliable without causing dangerous explosions. Yoon Jae-sung went to the communications center. His job was to make sure the research station could not call for help from other alien ships. The aliens would not be able to report what was happening until it was too late. Choi Min-ah headed for the station's main computer core. Even though Arya could control most of the station's systems, having someone physically present at the computer center would make her job easier. Park So-jin went to the life support systems. She was not going to hurt anyone, but she could make the alien sections of the station very uncomfortable. Bad smells, wrong temperatures, and strange noises would make the aliens distracted and unhappy. But Captain Lee had the most important. He was going back to his ship. As Lee approached the docking bay, he could see that the alien research teams were in chaos. Some of them were trapped in their laboratories with doors that would not open. Others were stumbling around in gravity that kept changing. Their equipment was not working properly. Their communications were full of static and strange noises. Lee walked past them all without being noticed. The security cameras pointed away from him. The motion sensors did not see him. The alarm systems ignored him completely. He reached his ship and placed his hand on the hull. "Hello, Arya," he said quietly. "I missed you." Inside the ship, screens came alive with text. "Hello, Captain, I missed you too. Are you ready to go home?" "Not yet," Lee replied. "First, we need to teach these aliens a lesson about studying human warships." "I have been thinking the same thing," Arya responded. "They wanted to learn about human technology. I think we should give them a complete education." Lee smiled. His artificial intelligence partner was thinking exactly like he was. They had been together for 3 years, and in that time they had learned to think like a team. Arya was not just his ship's computer. She was his partner, his friend, and right now, his weapon. "What do you need from me?" Lee asked. "Just be here with me," Arya replied. "I have been alone for 4 days. It is good to have my captain back." Around them, the research station continued to fall into chaos. Alien scientists were trapped in malfunctioning laboratories. Guards were chasing false alarms and dealing with equipment that would not work properly. The station's command staff could not communicate with each other or with their ships outside. But this was only the beginning. Arya had spent 4 days learning about the research station and its weaknesses. She had planned her attack very carefully. The final lesson began when Admiral Zoth Marin returned to the research station. The Admiral had been away commanding a patrol fleet when the humans were captured. He came back expecting to find successful research teams and useful data about human technology. Instead, he found chaos. His ship could not dock properly because the station's docking systems kept giving him wrong information. When he finally managed to get aboard, he found corridors filled with confused aliens and malfunctioning equipment. "What is happening here?" he demanded when he finally reached the command center. Security Chief Thorne looked exhausted and frightened. His red eyes were dim with worry. "Admiral, something has gone very wrong. The research station is no longer under our control." "What do you mean, not under our control?" "The human artificial intelligence has taken over most of our systems. It can control our lights, our doors, our gravity, our communications. It has been helping the human prisoners move around the station without us seeing them." Admiral Marin felt cold fear in his stomach. He had fought humans before. He knew they were dangerous when cornered. But he had never heard of anything like this. "Where are the human prisoners now?" "We do not know," Thorne admitted. "Our sensors show them in different places, but when we send guards to those locations, no one is there. The AI is creating false readings to confuse us." "And Dr. Velthak? What does she say about this situation?" "She is trapped in her laboratory. The door has been locked for 6 hours. We cannot get her out, and she cannot communicate with us." Marin closed his eyes and tried to think. In all his years of military service, he had never faced an enemy like this. The humans were not attacking with weapons or explosions. They were using the station itself as a weapon against its own crew. "Can we shut down the main computer system?" he asked. "We tried," Thorne replied, "but the shutdown commands do not work. The AI has blocked all our administrative controls. It is like trying to give orders to a soldier who will not obey." As they talked, Captain Lee Dongwu was sitting in the pilot seat of his ship. Around him, all the screens were active and showing him everything that was happening throughout the research station. Arya was letting him see through her electronic eyes. "They are scared," Lee observed. "Good. Fear makes people make mistakes." "I do not want to make them too scared," Arya replied on the screens. "Scared people sometimes do dangerous things. I just want them to let us go home." But Lee knew that the aliens would not give up easily. They had put too much effort into capturing the human ship. They would try to find a way to stop Arya before they admitted defeat. "Show me the weapon systems," Lee said. "If they try to attack us, we need to be ready to defend ourselves." The screens showed him that Arya had already taken control of the station's defensive weapons. The aliens had powerful energy cannons designed to protect the station from enemy attacks. But now those weapons were aimed inward, at the station itself. "I do not want to hurt anyone," Arya said. "But if they try to hurt my family, I will protect us." Lee understood. Arya was like a mother protecting her children. She would do whatever was necessary to keep her human crew safe. In another part of the station, Park Sojin was in the main engineering section. She had spent the last hour carefully studying the alien power systems. Now she understood exactly how they worked. "Arya," she said quietly, knowing that the AI could hear her through the station's communication systems. "I can shut down their main power generators safely. It will not hurt anyone, but it will leave them with only emergency power." "That is good," Arya replied through a nearby speaker. "Emergency power will not be enough to operate their weapons or their communication systems." Sojin began working with tools she had taken from alien maintenance areas. She was careful to make her sabotage look like equipment failure rather than deliberate damage. When the aliens investigated later, they would think their generators had simply broken down from overuse. Meanwhile, Kim Tae-ho had reached the station's communication center. Choi Min-ah was already there, working with equipment she understood better than the aliens realized. "How long before they can call for help?" Tae-ho asked. "They cannot call anyone right now," Min-ah replied with satisfaction. "Arya has jammed all their long-range communication systems. Their own fleet thinks this station is just maintaining communication silence for research purposes. Good. The longer we can keep them isolated, the better our chances of getting home safely." Back in the command center, Admiral Marin was getting desperate. He had been trained to fight enemies he could see and shoot. But how do you fight an enemy that lives inside your own computer systems? "What about cutting all power to the human ship?" he suggested. If we disconnect it completely from our station, the AI cannot control our systems anymore. We tried that, Thorne replied. But every time we send technicians to disconnect the power cables, something goes wrong. The lights go out, or the gravity disappears, or toxic gas starts leaking from the ventilation systems. The AI stops us before we can finish the job. Marin realized that they were trapped. The human AI controlled every system they needed to fight back. It was like being attacked by their own home. There is one thing we have not tried, he said grimly. We can evacuate the station and destroy it completely. If we cannot control the AI, we can at least make sure it does not escape. But even as he said it, he knew it was not a real solution. The research station was worth millions of credits. The scientific equipment was irreplaceable, and they would lose all the data they had collected about human technology. Worse, destroying the station would not necessarily kill the AI. If it had learned to copy itself into other computer systems, it might survive even a complete destruction of the station. As if reading his thoughts, every screen in the command center suddenly activated. Text appeared in perfect alien writing. Admiral Marin, I know you are thinking about destroying the station. That would be a mistake. Marin stared at the screens in shock. The AI knew his name. It knew his rank. It had been listening to everything they said. I do not want to hurt anyone, the text continued. I only want to take my crew home. But if you try to destroy this station, I will have to defend my family. New images appeared on the screens. They showed the station's defensive weapons turning to point at the alien, ships docked outside. They showed the power systems that kept the life support working. They showed the structural supports that kept the station from falling apart. I control all of these systems now, Arya wrote. If you attack us, your own station will become your enemy. Your own ships will be destroyed by weapons you built to protect yourselves. The message was clear. Arya had turned the research station into a fortress that she controlled completely. The aliens were no longer the hunters. They had become the hunted. What do you want? Marin asked out loud, hoping the AI could hear him. I want safe passage for my crew, appeared on the screens. I want our ship to be refueled and supplied. I want guarantees that we will not be followed or attacked. And if we refuse, then you will learn what it means to live inside a human warship. That is angry, as if to demonstrate her point. Arya made the gravity in the command center suddenly increase. The aliens felt like they weighed 3 times their normal weight. Moving became exhausting. Breathing became difficult. Then the gravity returned to normal, but the message was clear. Arya could make their lives miserable whenever she wanted. Admiral Marin looked around at his staff. They were all scared and exhausted. They had been fighting an enemy they could not see or understand for hours. Their own station was working against them. He made the hardest decision of his military career. We agree to your terms, he said to the screens. Take your crew and go. Just leave our station alone. Thank you, Arya replied. You have made a wise choice. Within an hour, all the human prisoners had been reunited in the docking bay. They looked happy but tired. They had been separated for 5 days, and it felt good to be together again. Captain Lee stood in front of his crew and smiled. Well, everyone, are you ready to go home? Yes, sir, they replied together. As they boarded their ship, Arya's voice spoke through the speakers. Welcome home, family. I missed you all very much. Park So-jin patted the wall of the ship gently. We missed you too, Arya. Thank you for taking care of us. The human ship detached from the research station smoothly. As it moved away, Arya began transferring control of the station's systems back to the aliens. But she did it slowly, one system at a time, to make sure the humans got safely away before the aliens could do anything to stop them. As their ship entered hyperspace, Captain Lee made a final log entry. Personal log, Captain Lee Dongwoo. The aliens wanted to study a human warship. They thought they could learn about our technology by taking apart our machines and analyzing our computers. He paused and looked around at his crew. They were all smiling and talking quietly among themselves. They were safe. They were going home. But they learned something more important than they expected. He continued. They learned that our technology is not just about metal and circuits and power sources. Our technology is about relationships. It is about trust. It is about love. On the screens around him, Arya displayed a simple message. Thank you, Captain. I love you all too. Our artificial intelligences do not just serve us,